Most welcome everyone to 1287, and we will continue with the article by Smolin, and I need to remember to put my thingy on, protect my neck. I developed a bit of a sour neck. Let's see here. It's page 10 of the article. And I ended mid-sentence for once. I thought it was funny. And if this worry can be resolved, one would then have to face the second goal, which is to explain how all the features of our experience can be reproduced within the block universe. There are recently sophisticated attempts to do this using recent results of cognitive science. These are impressively detailed, but even if we grant they succeed, their relevance rests on the adequacy of the answer to the first point, which I will argue cannot be satisfactorily answered. A related issue is causality. The temporal parts of a timeless universe are normally taken to be ordered by causal processes. But Julian Barber points out that when quantum mechanics is applied to cosmology by means of the Wheeler-de Wit equations, causality and order disappear, and we are left only with a set of possible moments to which the wave function of the universe assigns probability amplitudes. This gives rise to the version of timeless naturalism we may call Barber's instantaneous pluralism of moments. This is an interpretation of the timeless Wheeler-de Wit equation of quantum cosmology, according to which what exists is a vast collection of moments which all exist all together timelessly. On this view, there is no order to the moments, nor is there any structure which distinguishes one moment as the present moment. According to Barber, there is a single fundamental law, the Wheeler the Witt equation, which determines the distribution of different moments in the collection. Now, temporal naturalism. Temporal naturalism, on the other hand, holds that all that is real is so at a moment of time, which is one of a succession of moments, because of the qualification that the real moment is one of a succession. This view is not equivalent to what the philosophers call presentism. In particular, there are two kinds of things that are real at each moment. The first class consists of events which are real at that moment. The second kind of real thing is the process which continually brings forth new events from present events. This can be called the activity of time. This process underlies causation, which we take to be prior to laws. According to this view, the future is not real, and there are no facts of the matter about it. The past consists of events or moments which have been real. Even though past events are no longer real, there can be facts of the matter about them. Some of these can be decided based on present evidence of past moments, such as fossils, structures, and records. The status of the past is a tricky issue for the temporal naturalists, because one is simultaneously asserting that the past is not real, and yet statements about the past can be true or false. One can certainly evaluate the likelihood for statements about the past to be true based on present evidence. But I want to believe that these statements are true or false, independent of whether present evidence there may be for them. It is the case that the dinosaurs roamed the earth and will remain the case after the earth disappears in the sun's expansion to a red giant. But does this mean that I must believe that statements can be true or false even if they refer to nothing that exists? The answer is yes. This is an aspect of temporal naturalism. This is no problem and just serves to underlie the extent to which the concept of existence must be modified if one takes the view that all that exists is the present. Temporal naturalism further holds that the laws of nature can and do evolve in time, and that while there may be principles which guide their evolution, the future may not be completely determined. This is consistent with the claim that there are no facts of the matter about the future. Distinguishing the two forms of naturalism. The differences between these different versions of naturalism are brought out if we ask several questions. 1. How does the organization of our experience in terms of a one-dimensional succession of moments arise? This is a surprisingly hard question for a timeless naturalist, because if all that is real is the whole history of the world taken as one, then that history should be no more broken into moments than a sculpture by Picasso should consist of points that are intrinsically ordered. As already mentioned, locality is neither obvious nor simple in the general relativists' block universe. Moreover, the same shape cast in bronze admits an infinity of orderings. What picks out which is fundamental, indeed even given that the block universe has local properties. Who tells us it is those which are the correlates of experience. A general relativistic universe also has observables non-local in space and time, why are these not the correlates of experience? Indeed, why the world should be experienced as a set of anythings rather than simply all at once as it is claimed to exist all at once. It is a very hard question for a timeless naturalist. One, to my knowledge, has never been satisfactorily answered. We can follow Chalmers and call this the hard question of time. But that is not all. Once the hard question of time is addressed, a timeless naturalist has to explain what is special about timeline trajectories. Why aren't space-like trajectories the ones which are experienced as flows of moments? Similarly, what is special about a one-dimensional order? Why don't our experiences of the world organize themselves over 2 dimensions as if they were all strings? Temporal naturalism solves the hard problem of time by definition, because it explains that we experience the world as a succession of moments, because the world really exists as a succession of moments. The hard problem that temporal naturalism has to address is why anything persists. That is, why there appear to be causal connections between past and present moments. Causality has to be fundamental, and as we shall see, prior to the general laws. But even is temporal naturalism solves the hard problem of time by definition, this cannot be the end of the story. The temporal naturalist has also to explain all the features of time as perceived by us, and some of these, like the thickness and plasticity of the experience moment, as well as the experience of flow or passage, may involve hard cognitive science. Indeed, it seems unlikely that the moment can be thin, so that the moments the world passes through must be thick and structured. 2. Why do we remember the past, but not the future? This is a hard problem for a timeless naturalist who has to begin by conceding that there is no fundamental distinction between the future and the past, and so admit that the different ways in which our universe appears to be highly asymmetric in time are contingent consequences of our universe being in a very special state. Were the universe in a different state, we might remember, that is, we have fossils of both the future and the past. In other universes, there would be memories or fossils, neither of the past nor the future, because they would be in thermal equilibrium in which improbable non-random structures are highly improbable. Moreover, there is a well-defined sense in which, in both general relativity and Newtonian cosmologies, universes in equilibrium are highly improbable. Moreover, there is a well-defined sense in which, in both general relativity and Newtonian cosmologies, universes in equilibrium are vastly more probably given any reasonable time symmetric measure on the space of solutions than are universes out of equilibrium. This leads to the nearly absurd claim that, on our best understanding, the single universe that exists is highly improbable. For a temporal naturalist, this question has a simple answer, because the past was real and caused the present, whereas the future is not presently real. Moreover, since a temporal naturalist conceives the history of the world as fundamentally asymmetric in time, there is no obstacle to hypothesizing that the fundamental laws are time asymmetric. This opens up the possibility of explaining the strong time asymmetry of our universe with time asymmetric fundamental laws. Three, can we speak preferentially about the present moment? Can we use the word now to refer to a fact about the world? In temporal naturalism, we can, because the present moment is real and there can be facts about it. In this version of naturalism, it suffices to say now. This refers simply and non-contingently to the moment which is now present, which we might call the presently present moment. In timeless naturalism, now is the same as here. It is always a stand-in for relational statements, which refers to an observation in a way that indexes it to timeless observables. That is, by now I mean at the same space-time event as a particular physicist named Smolin, sitting at his dining room table at the time when the clock reads 6 a.m. and the calendar reads 12th of August 2013. We can call this relational addressing. It is the replacement of a use of now with a contingent and relational statement that refers only indirectly to a moment by a relational feature that distinguish it from all other moments in the history of the universe. In other words, this is the detailing of a local statement in time by a complicated observable, which is non-local in time, in the sense that its concrete realization would require a function of variables all over space-time. As I will discuss below, such a reference to a moment is necessarily contingent. That is, it may have been still in bed. I may have been still in bed at the stated time. The same is the case in Barber's moment pluralism. References to a particular moment must always be made relationally and contingently by describing what someone present in that moment would be experiencing. One difference is that the heap of moments is envisioned to include all possible configurations of the world, so that there are moments where I am in bed when the clock reads 6 a.m. and the calendar reads August 12th, 2013, and moments when I am at a desk in all the possible houses where my life might have taken me. Of course, in most moments, I don't exist at all. Thus, in a timeless natural world, there is no use of the presently present moment. Instead, any statement about now, apparently local in time, is to be replaced by a non-local observable that is relationally and contingently addresses that moment. In temporal naturalism, now is an intrinsic property in the sense to be developed below. That is not relational. It requires no further specification. In a timeless naturalism and moment pluralism, now is not intrinsic. It is relational and can be defined only indirectly through the specification of a very complex, contingent, and highly non-local observable. Now has no meaning. Now in the southwest corner of Trinity Bellwoods Park at noon on the first Sunday in September 2015 does. And I will round up here, but I think it's evident by now this has implications far beyond physics. It has implication in your daily thinking about everything. And this has particularly affected intellectual life. All of this university is governed by eternalism, that time does not exist. This is a forceful, strong antidote, but better explained, it is a revealing of a thinking fault that is so deeply entrenched and embedded in our life world that it would be impossible, even if eons of time were to pass, to discover it. This is what the super genius Smolin has done. And it's time to take advantage of that to his benefit and all of humanity. And let these grand words terminate this lecture. I say thank you very much and have a very pleasant afternoon. Bye bye for now.